Hey everybody, so this is kind of me dressing down today because frankly I did not sleep well last night. I changed some of my medication, and unfortunately one of the side effects is a really bad case of insomnia, so I did not really sleep, maybe an hour, hour and a half, and then I worked all day from 5 a.m. to 1:30. So I'm unshaven. I did put something in my hair. But frankly, this is kind of Unfiltered Friday, so this is a day where I don't care if I look professional because this is for fun. Anyways, we're just going to deal with me wearing a tank top that has a skull on it. This is the coolest one. Got it at Walmart. Go figure. Anyways, I haven't read from Viktor in a while, and the reason I have not read from Viktor is because usually Mama Fang reads it. But for some reason, the whole thing about bringing someone live onto my show with Facebook Messenger stopped working, and I have not figured out how to make it work. And Facebook did not respond to my request to tell me to explain what's going on. Say, hey, is there something I'm doing wrong? Did something change? But so far, no. So, anyways, I'm going to go ahead and read from it. And this is the prequel that's a work in progress to her award-winning best-selling series, Vampire Princess. So this explains the background of Viktor, who is the number one villain in all of literature, in my opinion. He's up there with Sauron, except he's more psychotic. Hey, T, how's it going, my friend? Long time no see. Me and her used to work at Capital One together, or People First. Hey, Mama Fang. So, anyways, I'm going to go and get started as people are starting to pile in. Let me show you the sword I do. This is just kind of some chapter art, but I spent like 4 hours drawing just this one sword, and then I made another one and crossed it. So, I think they look pretty realistic, I hope. Okay, so here we go. So this is Viktor by Steve McGovern, which is my pen name for when I read adult books. Well, what can I say? You got these hairy arms to keep you warm. Anyways, what was I going to say? Steve was my dad's first name, and McGovern is my grandfather's last name. My grandfather was George McGovern, who actually ran for the president of the United States as the Democratic frontrunner against Nixon and lost. Though I think he should have won, but Nixon ran a dirty campaign. He also ran against Reagan, who was one of the worst presidents of all time, in my opinion. But we're not going to talk about politics here, or I'm not. Anyways, Part 1, A Knife with Two Blades. Wherein Viktor samples the bittersweet fruit of betrayal and the rewards and punishments of a dark, nefarious pact. Chapter 1, 1457 A.D., Hunedoara, Romania. The pair, a man and woman, ran swiftly across a long and thin bridge, its wooden form supported by 4 massive piers constructed by stone and rooted into the river's Lasti below, it being an indirect tributary of the Danube River. Their passage was largely obscured by the night, the moon but a sliver of light behind dismal gray clouds, which aided in their escape. Hey, Joe. Hey, Alma. The couple held hands as they moved rapidly over the smooth wood beneath their feet, the man in the lead, just a step ahead of her. Let's see. He was dressed rather extravagantly in a black silk tunic under which were gray linen breeches and pointed leather boots with a bronze tip. A scabbard dangled from an intricately woven silk belt with an enameled buckle and end plate. 1 second here. Let's go down a little bit. In contrast, she was dressed more simply. She wore a flimsy ochre linen dress, and her largely exposed legs ended in rounded leather shoes with wooden soles. She staggered slightly and let out a small involuntary cry as her hand was violently pulled from his. He grunted as the sleeping guard in the tower awoke and came scrambling down the stone steps, a curved saber drawn. They had kept running, moving past the guard before he gained the bridge itself, but his companion was moving slower, the bottom of her dress torn, and a dark stain filling the dress, a thin rivulet of blood rolling down the bare skin. Whoops, forgot this isn't Kindle. Bare skin of her ankles. Viktor! She screamed at him, her voice and eyes pleading for aid. The guard, an older man well into his 40s, was short and squat. Not that being in your 40s is old, because I'm 48, almost 49. Yeah, I actually am old, but that's just because of the gray hair. Anyways, his bald scalp surmounting a pale, pockmarked face filled with several missing teeth. He had approached the woman lustily, casting a depraved glance at her dress, which had torn, revealing something of her large, pendulous bosoms. Hey, Pamela, how's it going, my BFF? Hey, Mark. Let's see. However, his expression changed to wariness as Viktor's eyes became visible, and he held his saber unsteadily as he knew intuitively that he was looking into his own death. He regarded Viktor fearfully as he drew closer. The man was tall, nearly 6 feet in height, with a thin, gaunt build. His face was handsome, but cruel, his mouth twisted into a wicked Cheshire-style grin, which sat in the middle of a thin black wisp of mustache and a beard that reached a sharp point at the end of his strong chin. His skin was a pale alabaster, carrying with it a disquietingly ghostly quality that contrasted with the raven black hair that fell just beyond the bottom of his neck. Viktor came towards the guard, a strolling, tranquil gait as he reached down and withdrew his own curved blade from the rune-covered scabbard at his side. The sword was black, distinguished even against the dark of the night, and its metal seemed to smolder, a dark mist steaming off the blade like an unhealthy fog. Luca was not a wise man, nor was he courageous, but he was no fool. He raised his saber and, stepping forward, seized the woman from behind, pulling her backwards towards him, the edge of the weapon gleaming under the thin moonlight as he held it against her delicate throat. "Drop your sword or I'll cut her throat!" He slowly drew the steel across her neck as she gasped, as a thin line of blood opened up. Viktor's eyes widened a bit, as did his grin. He then laughed aloud. It was a callous, unrestrained cackle, and Luca timidly pulled his saber away from her neck and began stepping backwards, drawing her back with him. "I'll kill her! Stay back!" He was not dissuaded, and in fact, as he stepped forward, he stomped his booted feet on the hard floor below him, each stumping noise causing Luca's hands to shake. His eyes, shadowy pools as black as the man's soul, glared at Luca, who saw his own death in them, and he continued to back away, the woman reluctantly following, leaving a small trail of blood from her wounded knee on the cold walkway. Viktor continued to advance, his pace slow and deliberate, and Luca hesitated, knowing that his threat to kill the girl was a hollow one. It was abundantly clear that the man had little concern for the woman's welfare. He was prepared to execute the woman, a far more merciful act than the one she would experience were she captured, but he was now grimly aware that either way, this brigand planned to kill him. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Kelsey. I'm going to finish this chapter, which is almost there. He stopped, retreating, brandished his saber out in front of him as Viktor stopped a mere 3 paces away. His own blade, a metal fuming cinder, held aloft defiantly at him. His face a still, pitiless smirk, patiently daring for Luca to act. His merciless demeanor held a cockiness as well, and Luca's heart pounded within his chest, threatening to burst out proof of his own fragile mortality. Luca had no desire to die, and fueled by desperation, he moved, quicker than a man so rotund could be expected to, and shoved the woman forward directly at Viktor, who barely seemed to notice, but deftly sidestepped, grabbing her wrist so powerfully that she cried out, but at least stopping her from falling onto the unforgiving stone of the bridge. At that same moment, Luca stepped forward, hoping to take advantage of this brief distraction. As he did, however, Viktor pivoted but slightly, thrusting forward with the sword in his right hand and piercing the hapless guard. Luca cried out, a low, tremulous, and pathetic drone as Viktor playfully tickled the man's heart as he died, the odd and foul smell of burning flesh filling his nostrils as he watched Luca slump forward and then fall under the bridge's now blood-stained surface. Viktor panted, his teeth bared, looking not unlike a beast after a successful kill, and his tongue slowly caressed his pointed upper canines, and he turned to the terrified woman, her face a mask of pain and fright as she gazed fearfully up at him. His face looked nearly feral and without humanity, but then his lips thinned, and his expression softened, adopting a guise of concern. He knelt down and looked her in the eyes as he extended his hand gently taking hers. His index finger of his other hand caressed her tear-filled cheek. His voice a soft but powerful whisper, he spoke gravely to her. "Helena, please, we must flee now." And that's the end of chapter 1. So that is Viktor. It's a book in progress. It's about 40% done with the first draft. It's going to be done within the next couple of months. I'm going to start making some progress on it after this work week catches up. So I'm going to start doing about trying to work on about 2, 3, 4 pages a day as I can. Hey, Christy, long time no see. I got to read from your book again someday. Maybe tomorrow. So hopefully you guys like that. Again, this is book 1 of the Vampire Princess Trilogy by Mama Fang, Patricia Annette, under the name P. Mattern. L. Gauthier helped to write book 3, which is Vampire Empress. But that said, since Mama Fang is on board, normally I save her for last, but since I just read Viktor, let's move into Vampire Princess. Actually, how about Vampire Empress? That way I can give El Gauthier a shout out. I did not tag Lynn in this, So if you, Mama Fang, if you want to give her a shout out, let her know that we're reading from this. Great. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Oh, let me show you the cover. Sorry. Okay, remember location 998. There we go. Actually, let's do the cover the right way. Hold on one second. Let's show you the cover the more fun way, the animated version. Look at all these Mama Fang covers and one of my books.
Every little girl wants to be a princess. Every little girl wants to be a princess.
And that's Ashby's voice, by the way. She's got a great speaking voice.
Every little girl wants to be a princess.
Ashby should do live reads because I think she'd do better than I would. That's my personal opinion. Okay, and I think I said location 898 or 988. Let's see. Oh, there you are, Lynn. Oh, not page 988, location. Ah, come on, Kindle. You're killing me here. You're killing me. One second here. Okay, well, it's 998. Hey, Bryce. Bryce, I got to read from your book again. Maybe tomorrow, if that's okay. So just real quick, before I get started on the next book, just a reminder, if you are an author and want me to read from your book, just let me know. The big difference is now I'm uploading all these videos to YouTube shortly after I do them. And I will not upload a book to YouTube, a video to YouTube, if one of the authors does not want me to do it. So that said, if there's an author that is not comfortable with me doing that, I may have to do separate live reads for people that do not want their videos uploaded to YouTube. The main reason I'm concerned about that is YouTube has more trolls than any other. It's like the Goodreads of videos. I've seen too many trolls just say bad things about videos and books, and I just don't want anybody to get their books trashed. And so I want them to understand that, if I put it on YouTube, there's a chance that some jerk may say, hey, that book sucks, I'm going to go on, or I like that book, or I'm going to trash that book, I'm going to go on Amazon and give it a bad review, or on Goodreads. So that said, if you're an author and want me to read from your book and you don't mind it going on YouTube, just let me know. I don't ask for anything for this. I just read it with your permission and I upload it and I tag you on the video. So anyways, this is again Vampire Empress by P. Mattern and L. Gauthier. And I'm going to pick up where I left off from the last time, which is about a third, about 40% of the way. Well, it says 39% of the way through the book. Several hours later, after spending time with the rest of the royal family, discussing her day with her mother and having a cup of tea with Empress Tristina, Ivory Dawn felt herself feeling around the back panel of the giant wardrobe in her bedroom. It was at least 12 feet tall and 9 feet wide, and it was made of elaborately carved ebony wood with inlays of precious stones. She was growing frustrated when she located it. Hey, SK. It was barely discernible and near the floor of the huge wardrobe. She had been looking for something roughly the size and shape of a regular door. The dresser was certainly tall and wide enough to accommodate something like that. Instead, she found a squarish opening she would have to go through on her hands and knees. She clucked her tongue. Did he really expect her to crawl through such an odd opening? Nevertheless, she decided to go for it. She drew in a deep breath and pushed, but nothing happened at first. The second time she pushed, she discovered a lever to the right side, and to her surprise, it opened inward. Hey, T, the person who did the voice of that video and the animation for it that you guys saw a few minutes ago. Hey, Darlene. She cut forward and stuck her head out to look up and down the corridor. When she was satisfied that it was empty, she grunted as she eased herself out of the opening. Sounds like birth. Whoops, I said that out loud. It's Unfiltered Friday. It immediately closed behind her, blending in with the surrounding wall so well that her first thought was that she would never find it again to return to her chambers. But before she can go into full-blown panic mode, she realized that Seth was standing in front of her. Oh, God, Seth is a dick. Well, he is. Good. You found it. You clever girl. I'm so glad you did. How does it feel to be out from under the watchful eye of the widow Empress? Wonderful, she told him, realizing that she did feel excited, and also a bit proud, because she managed to solve the riddle of the hidden wardrobe exit door. Does the Empress realize that these little doors exist? She wanted to know. I mean, if the wrong people discover them, They could breach the security of the royal family and entourage. I'm not sure anyone knows, other than you and I. King Alexander knew, but he is dead now. Sir Oliver, he might know, because he was so close to the king. No telling, really. How can I get back? Ivory asked. I mean, I just crawled through, and I can't even see where it is now. It is so well concealed. Yes, it is cleverly constructed, he agreed. But let me show you something. Oh, he's going to show him these. Never mind. Seth squatted down in front of the section of wall that Ivory had just emerged from. So, you can't actually see anything that would indicate a doorway. It is true, he told her. But lick the tips of your fingers and hold them in the spot you guess it might be at. I'm not going to go there. No, I'm not going to go there. I don't care if it is Unfiltered Friday. You will feel it cooling. Just a tiny bit of air coming out from around the nearly invisible edges. That's one way you might locate it. What's the other way? Ivory wanted to know. That sounds ridiculously complicated. Is there an easier way? Definitely, Seth said confidently. If you look directly across from where we are standing, you can see a pillar, right? Okay, Ivory said. So? So, if you draw a straight line in your mind's eye from the center of the base of the pillar to the opposite wall, you will find the center of the hidden door. And if you press into the center, like so... Ivory watched as he pressed his hand firmly against the wall in the area he had just described, and immediately the door opened. Ah, Ivory said in delight. That's much better. The first way described was completely whacked out. Were you putting me on? Yes, Seth admitted. Sorry. Not sorry. I couldn't resist. Rather than being annoyed at him, Ivory laughed. You are such an asshole, she said, but he noticed she was smiling as she said it. Don't worry. I believe in payback, Seth. You better watch your back. Okay, so there's the rest of that part of the chapter. Because T. Ashby came in, I'm going to go ahead and add something on to the read. So this is going to be read Into the Woods. And so remember location 515. Oh, actually, wait. I actually do not know if I read from chapter 5 or not before, so I'm going to start there. But first, got to go to the cover. So Mama Fang is getting a double read because she is one of my favorite authors, if not my favorite author. Definitely one of my favorite people in the whole world. Yes, I love Mama Fang. She is definitely one of my favorite people to talk to, and she's been such... I don't think I could still do this without her, let's put it that way. Okay, location. 1 second. I think I said 5:15. Hard to believe I'm already like halfway through the story, and it's so good. I don't want to end. Where'd it go? Oh, okay, here we go. Chapter 5. On the way back down the path, Del looked over at Sylvie. Come on, he exclaimed. Taking her hand, he started to lead them off the path she was used to. Still afraid of the wolves, she feared they both may be in danger. After a 5-minute walk, they came upon a beautiful log cabin. The wraparound porch was adorned with a whimsical display of wraparound ivy and lilacs. It smelled so heavenly. Out of the old-fashioned chimney drifted a smoke that gave off the aroma and wood smoke, and the lights that surrounded the pathway up to the house shone brightly with the incandescence of twinkling fireflies. Oh, Del, this is simply gorgeous, she exclaimed in awe. It's mine. I want to show you how I can take care of you, Sylvie. How our life could be if you wanted to be with me, as more than just a friend. His eyes beamed with pride and hope. He hurried her up the pathway and onto the porch to the front door, unlocking it and opening it to what was inside. It was a typical man cave, the taxidermy heads of several species of wild animals adorning the wood-grain walls, a kitchen with all-steel appliances, a big flat-screen television. She laughed out loud and in her best impression of a lumberjack voice said gruffly, Typical man cave you have here, so burly, manly, rugged even. In response, he snatched her up over his shoulder. I'll show you rugged, he said. He spanked her ass hard and then walked over and placed her down on the bearskin rug that had been laid out in front of the fireplace. He kissed her intensely, and she could feel the fire inside of her burning and building up. The fears of the secret that had haunted her mind had disappeared, and she began to kiss him back, giving his hair a tug at the baseline that made him let out a low growl that was super sexy and made her slip in her tongue for him to taste. Suddenly, both of them were ripping each other's clothes off, and they began to devour their respective flesh with nips, licks, and kisses. The desire rose in their bellies, and he worked feverishly to cover every inch of her neck with kisses. She heard her grandmother's voice in her mind saying, "Your mother's dated Dell's father, you know." It nearly snapped her out of the moment of getting lost with Dell, but she still wanted him. She hoped that the expression of her desire would be accepted by him, even though they didn't know for sure yet if they could somehow be related. They're cousins, so what? I don't really know, but if they are. Sylvie flipped her own body up over Dell and had him now pinned against the floor. Removing his pants, she freed his engorged erection and began to take it in. It was huge and made for much more than a mouthful. Moans escaped his mouth, and he whispered her name. "Sylvie." She smiled and continued to work her sexual skills on him. "Allow me to enjoy you as well, please," he begged. "Hey, Angela." She skillfully removed her pants and panties and then turned her body, keeping him in her mouth, to sit on his face. Nice. Sit upon his face, sorry. Dell's tongue was awaiting her delightful clit, and it was already wet, and he lapped at it eagerly with his broad tongue. She gasped, but rode it closer to him. She swirled her tongue around his length and tickled his testicles with her nose. She felt the semen building and on the verge. Her goal was to make him lose his load in her mouth rather than allowing him to penetrate her pussy. And it looked like it had worked so far. Wow. She had decided that if they didn't go all the way, the secret wouldn't matter. Intensity grew between them as the 69 position was so great in hitting just the right spots to help them both be able to release the sexual tension that had been building. It was so hard to hold back, but they wanted to enjoy one another for as long as possible. Dell continued to work her slit, even tongue slipping inside of her, and she used her kegels to tighten around it as it worked its way in and out. Sylvie took Dell's length to the back of her throat and took his testicles into her hands and began to massage them. He grabbed onto her head to guide it along, and she kept going until he finally squirted into her mouth. As he did, he bit lightly on her clit, making her convulse on top of him and cover his beard with her taste. Afterwards, she passed out on top of him as they lay together, as they both breathed shallow, and they both breathed shallow and deep to collect themselves. Dell looked at her ass on his chest and spanked her again and smiled. "Told you I'd show you rugged," he said in a triumphant tone. "I believe I was the one that showed you, Mr. Wilde," she retorted sassily, earning another smack on her backside with Dell's meaty and masterful hand. Okay, and there's a chapter break. So that's another P. Mattern book, along with T. Ashby. It's a really good story. So I'm going to remember 566 is my next location to read from. Okay, so the next one is from my friend Sarah Beth James, and this is called When Angels Mourn. And I can't remember if this one has the cover. I remember location 50. Let me see if I can get a cover here. This one does not have a cover for me to share, but let me see while I'm getting back to that part if I can get it, because I really want you guys to see it. 1 second. 1 moment. Okay, here's the cover. This is by Sarah Beth James, a good friend of mine. And this is a brand new release. So it's out today, I believe it is. Let me see. Release day, January 17th. So yes, it's out today. So check it out. Again, let me show you the cover. It's out today. It's free on Kindle Unlimited or $2.99 on regular Kindle. It's paperback $8.99, which is incredibly reasonable for a paperback. Nowadays, paperbacks are like $13, $14, $15. A great cover. And I know for a fact that I've read some of Sarah's stuff, and she is an incredibly talented writer and is one of CHBB's or newest writers, I believe. So congratulations to her for that. And let's get started. I think I said location 50. So go location 50. Okay. Chapter 1. Alana loses everything. Elisa loses everything. Alyssa, sorry. Brain dead. Again, 1 hour sleep, guys. It is funny how the things that once meant the world to you can suddenly all seem so meaningless. A job that seemed perfection. Your raison d'etre. I don't know how to say that word. I am so sorry. It's RAISOND'ETRE. Let me show you the word. I'm good with English. I was an English major, but I do not really know this word. I am embarrassed to say. So RAISN. So just going to show it to you. So if you know what it means, or if you know, I think it means reason for living. But I think that's French. And while I'm great at kissing that way, I don't speak it at all. I had to say that. Sorry, guys. Turning into nothing more than a prison sentence. Hey, Kirsten. Raison d'etre. Okay, I still don't know what it means, though. A life that you had once wanted to last forever turned into a nightmare you longed to terminate. How a single, fragile moment could change your perception of pretty much everything you had ever known. For me, that moment was when the man I loved died as I watched, helpless to change the twisted actions of others around me. There was a battle, a great one, in the war between good and evil. We were just foot soldiers, following our orders like little lambs to slaughter, and slaughtered he was, my dearest Edmund. Ah, there you go. I'd never thought of questioning my orders until today, when I had been told that my love was forbidden, that I would never be allowed to live with him as husband and wife. He was too different from the rest of us, too deviant. Unity had insisted that just being around something like that would destroy everything that we had worked for all these millennia. How could something that felt so wonderful be against God's will? God is love, nothing other than purest love and light. Or so I had been taught in training. Angels were not meant to question the will of God or his or her plans. As soon as the doubt started to creep into my awareness, I knew that I was in danger, that he was. We were going to run away together, give up our wings and our home for the love we felt, a mortal existence. It would not be long compared to that which we had both lived already, but it was something, more than we could have here in our home. Nothing else mattered other than us being together. In love, I was blinded, unseeing of the fate that was to befall us both. Before I could make our escape, the sound droned out to call us into battle. The demons were attacking. The next stage of the war would continue. The one we could never win, but could never stop fighting, or we would lose all of creation to the darkness. Balance had to be maintained here, or chaos would rule over the mortal race. It was a fine line to walk, keeping just enough darkness in the world to allow our light to be seen. I fought side by side with my lover, banishing the foul creatures from our land. There were far too many. We were being overrun. Where were the other angels? Why were we all alone? All the things that I should have paid more attention to at the time. Perhaps if I had, hey Jonathan, I could have seen through all this little fantasy before it was too late. I could have saved him, saved our child. The bastard offspring that Unity was so scared of. I didn't. I have trust in my people and faith in my God. Why would I worry that I would be betrayed by my own? That they would stoop to such low, cruel tactics, worse than any of our enemies. We were surrounded. I was separated from Edmund. I fought to return to his side, to protect him from the sea of monsters. I was held back by the sheer mass of bodies around me, hacking at them with my blade. Our eyes met over the battlefield. He smiled at me for the very last time as the demons ripped the wings from his back, torching them in hellfire. I could smell the burning feathers. His scream of agony reverberated through my whole body as he sunk to the ground as nothing more than a human. The demons held me tighter. I could only watch as they tore out his heart. I stood there as the creature I loved died. My scream pierced the air. My angel breath slaughtering those closest to me as my control failed. I hacked at the flesh, cleaving it as I tried to force my way to him. In my grief, I was reckless. I wanted to be with Edmund, even if it meant my own termination. Other angels appeared, fighting with me. I couldn't stop. I wouldn't. Not until we were together for all eternity. A command whispered into my ear. Feather's arms holding me, taking my blade. Then I knew only darkness. Okay, and that was chapter 1 of When Angels Mourn. Let me show you the cover again by Sarah Beth James. Great story. I love that read. She is such a good writer. I look forward to reading this some more. Again, this book is out today, so check it out. It's called When Angels Mourn, Kindle and paperback. Sarah Beth, if you're still online, if you could share the link to it, that would be fantastic so people can check it out and buy it. And I am going to upload this on YouTube when this is all done. Okay, so the next one is going to be by Jennifer Ann Schlag, and her book, Heir of Dragmore. And she's another one of my favorite writers. I love this cover. I love it. It's freaking amazing. But first, let me show you the number 457. Show you the cover. It's a great cover. And this is a fun book. I love reading this. Okay, let me go back to where I left off. Let's get back to where I... Okay. Talon looks at herself in the mirror at the back of the dressmaker's shop, who caters to the commoners. Hey, Lynn. Oh, you're already here. Never mind. The king insisted that she go to the dressmaker, who dresses the nobles and the royal family. She doesn't see a difference in the material. She is wearing a sky blue dress with white and black pearls along the top of the dress and under the breastbone, which connect, forming a crisscross shape in the middle. Something must be done with your hair, child, one of the dressmakers says. Helga, you do hair well, another dressmaker says. Take a seat, Helga says. She's a sweet old thing, always wears a smile, always looks content with profession and her life. Talon sits down on a wooden stool, and Helga goes to work. She sweeps up Talon's hair and brushes it with a boar bristle hairbrush. It's badly knotted. Talon tries to pull forward, oh, thanks, Mama Fang, from Helga, pulling down. Helga, I have plans to leave this place soon. Your hair should be brushed often. There's never a need. I am a farmer's daughter. Do you think you'll like Prince Remy? We heard that he is to show you off tonight, but there's a rumor that he's interested in meeting you for a different reason. What's there to like? He's a spoiled little monster. I could send a chicken to attack him and he'd probably jump out of his skin. Chickens can be fierce. She wraps Talon's hair around herself a few times until it forms a neat bun. She secures it with a silver hair comb and ties a white ribbon around the bun. There. It looks good. Thanks. Where are you going? You said you were leaving. Talon hops down off the stool. I'm going to find the masters. I want to tame all the animals in the world. That isn't meant for people like you. And they don't tame animals. They possess their souls. Oh, psh! You're reading too much into myths and legends. She's right, the other dressmaker says. I'm not like the people here. Take care. Thanks again for the lovely dress and the new hairdo. Talon comes out of the shop wearing a smile. She feels very girly, but she likes it. The few men that have tried to do more than kissing her only ended up feeling the end of her fist. Wow. Well, she hasn't tried me yet. Just saying. Tonight can be different. Maybe someone will ask to marry her. Maybe she will say yes. If she says yes, will they move out of the city with her? That's the only way she's marrying someone from Dragmore. They must be willing to relocate. She notices her father talking with a marksman near the blacksmith. The two end the conversation abruptly when they catch sight of her. You moron, when you're talking about someone, you don't abruptly end a conversation. You say a few more words and then act like it's all casual. But men are stupid. Not quite so much me, because I know how to do this stuff. Just saying. The marksman charges for her. He takes her right around the back of the dressmaker's shop and pushes her against this wall. Do you realize what danger you'll put yourself in? How you may have compromised the hunters? Not to mention you have caused one of their deaths. What am I to do with you, Talon? You're ruining everything that I have built. I suspect that everyone knows I can talk to animals now. They're going to paint you as a servant of the ancient magic. I will keep your secret. Don't make me regret doing so. I'm leaving anyway. He gives her a scornful look. Talon, your father will suffer for that. I don't care. He doesn't care about me. He's okay with marrying me off to someone because the king says so. As crazy as the king is, he can marry me off to the prince. I know he wants his son married. Can you imagine that? Me marrying Prince Remy? The prince may choose any woman he wants, and the king can force any marriage he wants. He looks more sad about that than he should. Not if I'm gone. My father won't suffer anything bad. He is adored. I just won't be allowed back home. I don't care. He stares into his eyes. She stares into his eyes, those dreamy eyes staring back at her. It doesn't have the same effect on her as it does on Bessie, and certainly with his looks, he must be a lady killer. It's almost as if he wants to say something else, but cannot find his voice. He storms off. She folds her arms, puffs out a sigh, and then a low grunt. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next one. Again, that was Heir of Dragmore by Jennifer Ann Schlag. Let me just show you the cover one more time. What a great cover. And that's such a great story. I know Jennifer will be on. She's not online. She's busy right now, I know, but she'll hopefully come online and share the link to her book. And the next one is going to be by Jenn Nixon, who is another one of my favorites. And with Jenn Nixon, I have almost all of her books. So I'm just going to scroll down until I find one. And let's see. Dun, 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 dun. I haven't read from this one in a while. This one's called Crystal Castle Caster's Awakening, Book 1. And this is a sword and sorcery series, I recall. I only read a little bit of it before, but I look forward to reading more of it. If I can get this open. Just waiting for it to load. So I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of this load time just to do my thrice annual reminder, whatever. Again, if you are a writer, an author, and want me to read from your book, I don't care what type it is. Just let me know, and I'll be glad to read it on this show. The only books I do not read are like bondage and S&M. I made a few exceptions for that occasionally, and I will if it's not too hardcore. You know, I don't need people being tortured or, you know, anything hard, really harsh. But basic stuff, I don't mind. You know, I understand it's another type of literature, and I'm not judging it. It's just I'm a little bit of a prude. But like I said, if you're an adventure writer, romance writer, sword and sorcery, science fiction, adventure, murder, whatever, horror, I will read it. Just let me know, okay? So let me show you the cover. Sorry, my nose is itchy. This is a really cool cover. And Jenn Nixon is a best-selling, award-winning author, too, if I remember right. And she's a really good friend of mine, and I think another CHBB author, which is a good market quality. I mean, pretty much every author I've read from of their books are really amazing. And hopefully someday I'll be one of them. Okay, so here we go. And we get to the start. I've read from this before, but I'm going to start over because it's been a while. Oh, chapter art. Sorry, got to show you this. It's really cool. I like that. I like crystals. Not, let's see. A butterfly. Yeah, CHBB. I was right. Okay, don't need the dedication. And let's go. There's Tiva Boone. I have that too. I've never read Jack's Starlight. I'll have to try that someday. Okay, let's get to the book. And Chapter 1, Virginia Land, East Zone, April 2062. God, I'll be 91 that year. Wow, I'll be old. The teeny door chime echoed through the air, pulling Cinder away from her meager breakfast. She gazed up to see a well-dressed man wearing a fedora she'd almost kill for, stepping into her trade shop and displaying a big smile rarely seen around her village. A quick glimpse over to her solar clock and realizing it was too early for a tax collector to visit. She fidgeted on the stool and slipped her hand under the counter, taking hold of the weapon she always kept handy in case a whacker showed up to rob her again. The leader always used a disguise. Sheer force of habit made her smile back as she offered the usual greeting. Pleasant morning to you. Welcome to Rain Trade Post. My greetings, miss. What an adorable store you have here. I love these old truck trailers, he said, dipping his head and lifting his hat for some strange reason. Thanks. Can I help you find something? Oh, no, sorry, he replied, reaching into the worn leather bag strapped to his chest. She tensed and curled her fingers around the weapon's handle. I won't take much of your time. Making a delivery to Cinder Rain. Delivery? Cinder rose to her feet, but stayed behind the counter as the man approached, now holding a wooden box about the size of an old-fashioned schoolbook. He set it down with a heavy thump. From who? Are you Miss Rain? One and only. She tapped the top of the antique cash register where she kept a spare copy of her ID badge. He tipped his hat back as he leaned closer to the holographic picture. One of his bushy eyebrows arched. Lifelong East Zoner, huh? Ever go through the Darklands? Cinder curled her lip. Why would anyone do that? Let's see. I make the trip once a year. Go back home to see the family. It's quite the experience. The man set a mini tablet next to the box. Please sign by the X. I'll take your word for it. She traced her initials on the screen, curious if he had a working phone to go with it, since he certainly seemed rich enough to afford the rare luxury of bi-coastal communication. Her gaze fell as he slid the box over, then he touched the rim of his hat and smiled again. Thanks. Thanks. Pleasant day, Miss Rain. As he exited the shop, Cinder realized he never answered her initial question and frowned when she stared at the strange markings carved into the top of the dark gray box. Something about it seemed familiar, yet she was certain she'd never seen either before. Okay, so that was just a short read because I'm going to get to some other ones. So again, that is Crystal Caster's Awakening. Let me go to the top and show it to you again. By Jenn Nixon. Okay, and the next one is going to be from Richard Stevens. And let me find his book. This is a really good book of his. Just got to find it. One moment. Should be here somewhere. Maybe I missed it. Okay. Bear with me. This is called Into the Madness. It's by Richard Stevens. Like I said, he's a really great author. Let me show you the cover. And he does live reads too. Just, reach out to him. Richard H. Stevens. He's on Facebook. Reach out to him if you want to do it. Because he will do live reads of your book too. Just like I do. So, okay, let's see. We get to the cover. Okay, Solomon's brother. Ohina didn't know how much longer he had. His years of inactivity with regard to employing his magic had taken its toll. As the former wizard of the North, he had lived for over a century and a half. Physically sustained by his aptitude to slow the aging process, his magic had given him the time he required to search out and train his successor. Responding to his predecessor's vision of Helidon's invasion, he left the Dragon's Tooth 24 years ago to provide King Peter with aid. It was then that he had decided to change his name and alter his appearance. There was nothing to be done about his peculiar white eyes, but the addition of the long, wispy beard had served him well. There weren't many alive who knew him from his previous life, so his identity shouldn't have been an issue. He hadn't counted on King Peter recognizing him. It had been a sad day when the wise king died upon the plains of Lugubrious, fully aware of his identity, but in agreement that Ohina dare not tip his hand. Peter's son Malcolm had ascended the throne and proved a benevolent king. He displayed unwavering compassion towards his subjects, but as his father feared, those qualities were to be his greatest weakness. He cared too much. Ohina smiled. What an odd thing to think. Someone caring too much. But it was true. To be king, one had to be tough. For a kingdom to survive and prosper, it must be run with the greater good in mind. If that meant certain individuals suffered as a result of furthering the designs of the masses, then grave decisions had to be made. What an ideology. He shook his head. He slipped off topic again, something he did more often these days. He returned his mind to the person scowling daggers at him. "Oh, yes, Sadira, you were saying that I need to strangle you." Ohina held his hands up. "Whoa, no need for violence. Remember, I am a wizard now." "If I had an arrow for every time you've said that since we left Grecian." "Sorry, my dear. My mind is preoccupied with many things these days. I tend to forget what I am doing. Please forgive me." Sadira crossed her arms and looked away, indignant. She snapped her head back and leaned into him on the stone bench they shared in the Baron of Apexial's private gardens, her sudden movement making him flinch. "I said we need to find a better place to make a stand against Helidon. Apexial is a fine fort, but 12-foot thick walls won't prevent him from bringing the sky down on us. Ohina pursed his thin lips and nodded, pulling at his beard. "No, Saidi, you are correct. Conventional defenses provide us little protection. Our only advantage is our naval superiority. That lot of good a ship will be when it's resting with the fishes. We can't fight someone if we don't know where they're attacking from." Captain Thor paced along the garden path behind the bench, listening to their conversation. The well-dressed man stopped in front of them, his boots polished to perfection. "We have several fine brigs at our disposal, but they all share the same weakness. They burn." Pollard, the Sungsberthian giant, stood beside sighed Sadira, a common position he had taken up recently. He nodded his agreement to the only man bigger than himself in all of Zephyr. Oh, me ship's tougher than old Blowout's frost storm. Weathered up in the bay a few weeks back, did she not? Gerrymander will show a windbag who's tough. Omar, the bandy-legged helmsman, crossed his colossal forearms atop an ample belly. Ha! Pollard slapped Omar on the back. Show Helladin what a nice addition to the reef she makes more like. Bah! Omar's bushy brow knit together. He hawked and spat into a flowering bush across the cobblestone path. Captain Thor shot Omar a disgusted look and turned his attention back to Ohina. If we are caught in the harbor, I'm afraid Pollard has the right of it. Yet if we take to open water, we'll be of little use to the chamber mistress's forces. What does chamber mistress Arzachol think? Ohina chewed his lower lip. That's a good question. She is still brooding over her part in the chamber's corruption. She is finding it hard to accept responsibility for the role she played in this deception. That dizzy cow. Sadira jumped to her feet. While she sits there feeling sorry for herself, the devil himself marches over the wall. Once his army is south of the mountains, the rest of the kingdom will fall. The safest place in Zephyr will be the torpid marsh. Oh, no, lassie. I ain't to be going there again. They got big biting bugs. Ohina glanced from Sadira to Omar. He couldn't help smiling at the way they carried on. Neither one had a filter. Kind of like me. And he had no wish to ever change them. Okay, so I'm going to put a bookmark there because I got to get moving on and pick up my son soon. I got one more book to read, and that's by my good friend Jaden Dotson. And let's see if I can... I had the bookmark for the other one. This is book two of the Quest Risen saga. Her book one's called Heliopause, and I have that book around here somewhere, but I don't have it with me. But it's called Heliopause, Heliopause. And if you go to let me show you this way here. 1 second. If you go to jdiannedotson.com, you can read more about Heliopause and this book, Ephemeris, book 2 of the Quest Risen saga. These are some of the best sci-fi books I have ever had the pleasure to read. Look at the cover, too. Isn't that amazing? And both sides. It's got great characters, a poignant story. It's funny. It's sad. It's got every emotion you can imagine I have felt reading this book. I'm just telling you. It's an incredible story. And if you go to the site, you can learn more about the books. There's artwork on the characters. There's cover background stories about all the characters. Plus, she's a scientist, and there's a lot of science articles. So, I mean, you can get lost in her website. There's just so much things to get immersed in, and then you learn more about the book Heliopause and book 2, which is the one I'm reading from, Ephemeris, which takes place before, during, and after Heliopause, and both books are incredible. This is actually my favorite. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and then I'm going to wrap it up. This is chapter 36, Convocation. After a night on the ship, everyone met at the round table again for breakfast. Ariel sat next to Gala, and Dagavabi sat next to Ariel. Meredith sat alone, serving as a leader. Other crew scattered around the large table. We are here for a couple of things today, Meredith announced. First, let's see how we can help Galadea in her quest. It is my understanding she needs to find a number of planets with what she calls devices on them. These are huge machines, apparently mostly underground, and many, or all of them, could be covered or shielded in some way. We have no idea where they all are, but we need that information. So, any ideas? One of the crew, a middle-aged man with olive skin, downturned eyebrows, and salt and pepper hair, said, Aye, Trent Corva here. He waved to Gala and her seatmates. It's a big galaxy. If these things are hidden, it's going to take scans to find them. Wouldn't Ariel have this info? Ariel asked. Gala spoke up. He has not looked for the others, no. But I wonder about the associates. Meredith nodded. You would think so. But we have no access to their tech, yes? That's right, said Gala. And they're not known for sharing. Trent spoke up again. If we could access their tech somehow, maybe we could find what we're looking for. You mean hack in? Another crew member asked. This woman with chestnut brown skin and elaborately curved hair puffs bore sparkling green gems down both her ears. She was adorned simply in pants and a t-shirt, but her demeanor radiated confidence. Thank you, Janna. Yes, replied Trent with a nod. I guess I was a female, sorry. Janna Urko, the woman said, extending her hand to Gala. I can do that, she said assuredly. Then go for it, Gala exclaimed, shaking Jenna's hand. She smiled with impish glee, imagining the ire such a hack would draw. She realized how satisfying it would be to outsmart the horrible speaker of Biddick. 1 second. One problem, though, said Jenna. How do I get to their tech? We'll figure something out, said Gala. At that moment, a looping alert sounded throughout the ship. A voice crackled over the intercom, and Gala recognized it as Rob Idens. Meredith, he called. Meredith, he called. You might want to come up here. We got company. The group rose and ambled toward the cockpit. Something drifted down around the ship, like the long tendrils of a jellyfish. Jesus Christ, Rob cried. It's closing all around us. What the hell is that? Asked Ariel, and Dagavaby glanced back at Gala. Gala returned his look and set her mouth in a grim line. It's an associate ship, she answered. Oh, shit, Jenna said. Did we just bring them here? Did they overhear us? I don't know, Gala said, beginning to worry. Why are they here? Here, of all places. Her skin crawled. She could feel it to her core. They want me, said Gala, and everyone stared at her. I don't think you should go alone, Meredith declared. The others nodded. I'll go with you, Rob said instantly. Gala rolled her eyes and Ariel snickered. Mate, give it a rest, chuckled Dagavaby. Rob, Meredith said with an adoring look, bless your heart. We need you to pilot the ship, dear. I'll go, said Ariel. Dagavaby and Meredith sighed. What? Never know when you need a telepath. Gala considered. They won't expect me to bring anyone, but it's a good idea, she said and she glanced at Jenna. Want to come along? Hell yes, Jenna responded, twisting one of her green earrings. Then you know what I'm going to ask you to do, Gala continued. Jenna nodded and winked. Whatever you can find, do so. We may not have much time. Okay, I do need to run. So that was, again, Ephemeris, Book 2 of the Question Saga by Jaden Dotson, who is one of my top 3 favorite authors and a really good friend of mine. Sorry, again, I sat on the book a while ago and bent the page. I'm embarrassed to say I did that. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this up. Just a reminder, if you are an author and want me to read from your book and have it up on the Writer's Circus here and upload it to YouTube, just let me know. I don't ask for anything, don't charge for anything. I just do it. Just let me know. Send me a private message on Facebook, and we'll make it happen. Anyways, I'm off. I'm going to go relax a little bit, pick up my son Tyler, take him to karate class, and then go to bed because I work at 5 o'clock tomorrow. And I hope you all do another live read to then. Take care of yourself and have a good rest of your day. And if I don't see you then, have a great weekend. Bye-bye.